All right, so today we're going deep on some pretty serious allegations about how white-collar crime is being handled here in the U.S.
Yeah, some pretty potentially troubling stuff.
Exactly, and we're basing this deep dive primarily on a video transcript we got our hands on from the Ring of Fire.
Right, and they're taking aim at some recent actions that really raise questions about whether there's a different standard of justice depending on how much wealth you have.
And they're not pulling any punches. They even cite a report from Axios that kind of implies that maybe right now is a pretty good time to be a white-collar criminal in America, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, I mean, the heart of their argument is that Donald Trump is basically handing out get-out-of-jail-free cards to wealthy donors who've been involved in some shady dealings.
So let's break this down, starting with these alleged pardons. The video claims that just last Friday, Trump pardoned 3 people who were facing charges for white-collar crimes.
3 specific people.
Yeah, that's what they say, but the transcript frustratingly doesn't name them.
See, that makes it tough to immediately fact check.
It does.
Yeah.
But it's still a key pillar in their overall argument.
For sure, they're using these pardons as a springboard to launch into this broader pattern they're trying to expose.
Right. And a good example of that is this situation with Andrew Whitehorn.
Whitehorn?
Yeah, the former CEO of Fat Brands, the company behind Fatburger and Johnny Rockets.
Oh, right. Okay.
So he was indicted for allegedly hiding something like $47 million in shareholder loans from the IRS.
Whoa, that's not chump change.
Nope.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting. The video claims that Trump actually fired the U.S. attorney who was investigating Whitehorn.
Seriously?
Yeah, pretty wild, right? And for our listeners who might not be super familiar with this stuff, white-collar crime basically means nonviolent crimes that are financially motivated, usually committed by people in business or government.
Right. So like hiding shareholder loans from the IRS could suggest tax evasion or maybe trying to make a company's finances look better than they actually are.
Exactly. And the video makes a pretty big deal out of the fact that Whitehorn had donated a total of $40,000 to Trump and the RNC.
40,000 versus 47 million, you know?
Yeah, the commentator even points that out, like almost sarcastically.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
For sure. It really makes you think about the possibility of influence and how these things might be connected. But they don't stop there. They take it even further, talking about how many white-collar investigations are getting dropped.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they claim that since January 20th, 2025, the Department of Justice has dropped over 200 white-collar criminal investigations.
Over 200. Wow, that's a huge number.
And they really try to drive that point home by comparing it to the number of similar cases that were dropped under Biden, Obama, even Trump's first term.
So they're saying it's a lot higher now than it was under previous administrations?
Yeah, exactly. They're building a case that something has shifted, that there's a more lenient approach to these kinds of crimes now.
And they seem to be implying that this shift is directly tied to Trump. Maybe his personal history, his views on white-collar crime.
Right, and just to be super clear to everyone listening, we're simply laying out the arguments that this video is making. We're not endorsing any particular viewpoint.
Right, we're just trying to break down the information presented in the video so our listeners can form their own opinions.
So to recap, the video's core claims are that Trump pardoned white-collar criminals, fired a U.S. attorney who was investigating a donor, and that the DOJ has dropped a massive number of white-collar investigations since January 20th, 2025.
And this brings up some really important questions, like what does this mean for our justice system if these claims are true? Does it mean that wealth and political donations can shield people from accountability?
It's a lot to think about, and we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought.
Definitely something worth considering and maybe even doing some of your own research on.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.